Philip Schneider was born on April 23, 1947 at Bethesda Naval Hospital. His father, Oscar Otto Schneider, was a captain in the U.S. Navy. He was involved with both the Philadelphia experiment and Operation Crossroads. 7 months after Schneider began speaking out, he was found dead in his apartment in Oregon. The coroner ruled the death a suicide. Schneider once stated that if anyone claimed he had committed suicide, then you would know he was murdered. Schneider is survived by his ex-wife Cynthia Dreyer and his daughter Marie. Now, for the first time, Cynthia and Marie sit down with open minds, and in this exclusive interview, they discuss the man who was at one time a husband and father who made some astonishing claims about the U.S. government and extraterrestrials that put all involved under intense scrutiny.
Toward the end of his life, the last 2 years, he was out on the lecture tour, and he had pretty good memories of everything that he had done, all the events that occurred, and he had new materials that he had discovered in his father's basement. He talked more about Morse and Knudsen, that they were a military contractor. They were civilian, but they contracted with the military. And so a lot of what he talked about was the deep underground mountain bases that he dug for the government all over the world. I mean, it wasn't just the United States. But he also mentioned Groom Lake, Area 51, S4, whatever you want to call it. He was a structural engineer. And he was an expert on explosives. So he was the person that helped to build the long shafts down into the deep underground mountain bases. He witnessed those and the monorail system that they had between the different dumb bases, and talked about how fast they were. You could go from New York to Los Angeles really fast. But the purpose of the deep underground mountain bases is the part that really concerned him, that there was a treaty with aliens that they'd be able to live underground in peace, I guess is kind of how you would put it. I think he was concerned about the alien agenda. He wanted the abductions to stop with the aliens. He wanted our children to be safe. And having a daughter of his own, he feared for her and feared for all the children, that it was generational. A person who says they're abducted, that their children were probably going to be abducted as well. He indicated that they were making the explosions for the shaft, and they came to an area where they knew the explosions weren't right, that there was probably already a cavern there. So they went down along with probably 26 other people. And that's when they came upon the Draco type of alien. It's a reptilian type. There was an altercation. In the end, Philip was hit by a blue cobalt beam that split open his chest. Philip mentioned that there had been a treaty that the aliens could abduct humans for experimentation, but they had to give the United States a copy of who they abducted so that they would know who was being experimented on. And it had to be kind of limited. It couldn't be just a whole lot of people. So it had to be a specific number, maybe per year, and it had to be maybe generational, just certain families that they could look at. And in exchange for that, they would give us some of their technologies, and we would provide them with a safe space to live, like in the deep underground mountain bases. And the treaty was broken. We found out that there were millions more people being abducted than were being given to the government. Of course, that was real concerning, because then the government didn't have as much control. I think the government wanted to go back in, take the people that had been abducted, do some experiments on them to see what the aliens had done. You know, now they couldn't do that. They didn't know who had been taken.
About a week before Schneider's death, he was in Seattle securing plans for a book that would include everything from his lectures as well as other information. Cynthia felt something was not quite right about his death and asked the funeral director to investigate further.
So he said he would take a look at the body, and I left. The very next day, I got a call from the police. They were taking his body to the medical examiners, and that the funeral director had found something on his neck. It turned out to be a catheter tube that had been wound 3 times around his neck and tied in the front. Now, Philip had osteoporosis, he had multiple sclerosis, he had cancer, he had so many things, but on top of that, he was missing some fingers on one of his hands. To do that 3 times around your head and then tie it in the knot, and then just sit on the edge of your bed and drop dead did not make sense to me at all. It definitely was not a stroke. And in my mind, it was a murder, and I knew things were missing from his apartment. But the coroner, when she did the medical examination, couldn't find anything of a fight. There was no fight, no marks of him scratching people, no obvious sign of him being murdered. So they called it a suicide.
Schneider's daughter Marie told us that she is still missing something that would give her some sense of closure.
Justice. Same thing that my mom said, the death certificate being changed to at least unknown, because it's so unjustified right now, and it's sad.
Marie, who now has children of her own, also expressed that she misses her father greatly and still carries concerns from what had happened. She will make sure that he will not be forgotten.
There's a fear, yeah, but I don't let it get to me. I know when my children get older, they'll know about their grandpa.